All right. All right. We didn't know who was going to do this. All right, everyone. Welcome to Blue Sunday. And this week we've got we as we said, we brought in the reserves. We brought in Lewis Young and Doherty to take on the senior roles here. So in we came. Yeah. So Joe's off to he's having a bit of a holiday. He might join us a bit later. And Vince actually has got sick and bit of a turn for the worse, and so he should be right, but he just said he wasn't up to it tonight. So we thought we'll jump in and we'll talk about this monstrosity. Welcome to Rash. How are you, mate?
I'm really good, man. It's good to be back. Finally, it's the first time for the year.
It is on this show. You came on the Jumper Punch, but no, you came. Have you been on the Jumper Punch?
No, not this season. No, this time. I've been low key. All
right, we'll get you on. Of course, we're going to get you on. So everyone, welcome to everyone. Rocco Moro, Jay, guys, we got a few here. We got Rocco Moro. How are you? It's going to enjoy. We're going to have a good chat. We're going to bring on. We got Danny here. Good evening, Rocco and Rash. Hope both well. Wow, what a poor effort. 9 so efforts yesterday. Why are we so hot and cold? We're going to talk about that in a second. We're all trying to work this out. We've got Patrick.
Yeah, we'll get the expert to come in shortly also to give us what everyone's waiting for.
We get him on pretty much straight away. It's going to be just a good, decent chat tonight. So let's first of all welcome.
Wait. Let's put in our sponsors first. Let me
I was going to say that. I was just about to say that. Go for it.
So there we go.
So thanks to the Sporting Globe, Northlands. Thank you very much, mate. They have partnered with us, and also, you were really quick there. We were all there at the Sporting Globe yesterday for the catch-up, which was really good. That was the best part of the day. About 50 people rocked up. We watched the game together, and look. Even in a loss, it's good to be together. But yeah, thanks to the Sporting Globe sponsoring the Jumper Punch. We've also got we got the what is it?
RW4U tours.
Yeah. Retired Working for You tours. That's Joe's company. So anyone that needs any sort of travel advice, he's got tours organized. Man, seriously, get in contact with him. You know me, I love Thailand too. My partner's from Thai, and we've been there but numerous times. So make sure if you want to get down there, he can definitely help you out there.
Excellent. Very good.
How about, you know what? I want to get him straight on, and let's get this rolling. What do you reckon?
Yep, sure. Let's go. Go for it. Let's add him in.
All right, here we go. Oh, I'm going to do it. Well, here we go.
Hey, guys. How are you? Yeah.
How are you, Reece? How are you, mate?
Oh, it could be better, I suppose. It wasn't a great day yesterday, but for a number of reasons. But it's one of those things, and you know, they build us up and give us hope, and then they knock us down again. So we should be used to it by now. But anyway, it's a little bit I think there's the one thing to say about this season. There's been some highs over the last 3 weeks, but a lot of disappointment, is from Carlton supporters, and I just think they played a team who were ready, and you got to give full credit to Adelaide for yesterday. They play very well over there. I don't think we've beaten them over there at all. So on that new oval, so we were just caught on the hop, and 6-day break, we can use that as a bit of an excuse, but not good enough, and we just didn't have enough in there. They were in our face. They were tackling, they were chasing, they were doing all the hard things, all the 1%ers, and we weren't. Broken tackles, and too many players didn't put in at all. We had some very low numbers from some of our players, and some went missing, and that's
well, let's talk about that. Let's put the scores up. So just to refresh everyone's mind what the scores are there. So we've lost by 60 points, 10 goals.
Yeah, never in it. I mean, never in it. And a couple of those goals were junk goals, apart from maybe the first couple where I think Motlop kicked one. I don't know. I can't even remember who kicked the second one. But yeah, apart from that, where we thought, all right, we're not too bad. The way I felt was, all right, they were all over us, but we weren't too far away, you know. So let's just regroup for the second and third quarters, you know. But after that, seriously, we were just never in it. We look like, I don't think players give up, but I don't know. They just reverted back to that long kicking. You know what I mean? Just down the line. And then I'm going to tell you one thing, Reese. I've said this before. When our big stars don't show up, that's it. We're done. We're done. And when they do show up, no one can beat us. You know what I mean? And I mean, Cripper tried. Curnow, I think, was okay. He did a lot of work up and down the ground. Harry was missing goals. Wiedering at times he just looked like he was beaten for some reason. He wasn't chasing, and then that's it. And then once they don't perform, to me, the rest of the team can't lift. You know, they need them to perform. That's the way I saw it, Reece.
Yeah, I think you might be a bit tough on Weeders, but I thought he was pretty good back there.
Yeah,
but
he always
look, they had and we felt like we're in the game, you know, for about 2.5 quarters. You know, I mean, they couldn't really. And then I think they slammed on about 4 goals, couple straight out of the middle sort of thing, clearances, and they just took the game away from us in that third quarter, and we weren't coming back from there. But yeah, it really did start in the middle, and we just got smashed in there. We were getting the ball, but we were hurried all the time. And this is full credit to Adelaide because they rushed us. You know, we're kicking around corners. We weren't able to settle and get our game going. So you've got to give full credit to them, and playing at home in front of their home crowd. Good on them. They needed that win. That was pretty important for both teams, really, going into the game. But we just didn't handle the game at all. And as you said, you know, we went back to what we were doing when we weren't playing well, and that's just kicking down the line, kicking long, no run, no setting up, no dare, no. You know, you need to take the game on sometimes and take some risks and hope, you know, something happens. And, you know, every now and then you take a risk, you know, it doesn't work, but, you know, it's you're not going to get rewarded too much if you're not prepared to take too many risks. So, yeah, it just was a really flat game by us overall, and very disappointing for our supporters to be watching, you know, that sort of thing.
David, what, you know, just curiosity, and probably a lot of people in the chat are thinking the same. How does that happen? Like, I mean, you're the guy that's got the experience and played. How does that happen from 1 week with Geelong, and then another week? So it's the contrast. I mean, is there anything there that?
Well,
you know,
look, I mean, yeah. Well, you sort of look for excuses, and you look, you know, I mean, look, we had people like, you know, there was the young kids, you know, who've been okay. You know, Cooper Lord, Matt Carroll, Will White, sort of thing. They're going to have up and down. You know, I mean, they're only young and they're only new to the game, and they're going to be up and down from time to time. But you know, but all three of them were pretty well went missing, and it was, you know, a game that wasn't going to suit those type of players anyway, because it was they come at us hard, and you know, they're only got, you know, young fragile bodies. You know, they're pretty slim boys. So yeah, they didn't have any impact at all, and there were a few others. Motlop didn't have any impact again. You know, he was disappointing, I think, Durden. And you're talking about our small forward line there. I mean, Fogarty had no influence on the game. Durden had no influence. Motlop had no influence. Will White had no influence. You know, Cooper Lord was going through there at times. So we just relied too heavily on our big blokes, and just our delivery and the way we went about playing just didn't It wasn't going to win. We would, the way we were playing, we weren't going to win, and we needed to take. I'll give credit to Adam Sard at times. He grabbed the ball and ran with it and tried to get things happening. There are a few players, trying to get things happening. Walshy was okay at times, and Cripper was pretty good. George Hewitt, he stood up again. He's having a pretty good year, but there's too few, and we had quite a lot more liabilities than we did contributors.
Whilst we're talking about if we lose the stats, Rocco, or you can go. Sorry.
Oh, if you want to have a quick look at the stats, put them up there. I mean, to me, the stats really don't matter. I mean, there was some statistician during the week was saying we're one of the top defenders in the competition and that, and he came up with all this thing. And sometimes I'm looking at that and going, no, that's not the real picture there. You know what I mean? So the real picture didn't show. I don't know what we can see there. I don't know.
Well, they've had 69 more possessions, so that's that's another 4 or 5 players out on the field, average sort of thing. So, that's a hell of a hiding there, and it just shows a total domination, really with that, and TDK 44 hitouts against him, that's where we got beat. That's where we really got beaten, hurt, and around that misses, and that's our strength. Sorry.
Yeah, well, he didn't have a good game, it's been a while. I thought TDK's been good this year, but he definitely. Yeah, Seba says TDK was awful. He was awful, but he definitely got beaten. And they took away our one wood, which is our clearance, our contested game. And then once they do that, we just couldn't. And I find with Carlton, I don't know if it's because of it's our game plan or the way we're coached. I don't know. But when it doesn't go our way, we just revert back to that long kick down the line. They were slow. They weren't switching, everything they were doing the previous week. And that's why I think we're all a bit confused, because we thought, they've shown, they've played well for a couple of weeks and they beat Geelong. They're playing this hard contested ball. How can we go over to Adelaide? And I know they put a lot of pressure on us, but how can we just go away from all that, Reece? How can that just have, there was none of that. That could be the worst 4-quarter performance we've had all year, yeah?
Yeah, it was. Definitely. I mean, we've been in front at halftime in every match so far. So we haven't been bad, but that was our worst performance so far. And I think Vossi, after the game, just said it. I think he said that wasn't us. And teams do have. They do have off days, and you only got to look back to our last premiership, and I think it was St Kilda and Sydney, who were the 2 bottom teams, beat us halfway through the year, and we never lost any other matches. But you can have your off day, but the
difference there, Reece, was we'd won the previous 7 in that year, and we won them pretty convincingly. We were winning, we were beating all sorts of sides, and then we have a 2-week down period, and I'm sure everyone's a bit sus about those 2 losses that year. I don't want to accuse anyone of it, but then we get on. But in this year,
like, to South America, didn't they? I don't want to cast any aspersions, but they had a pretty good trip over to Rio de Janeiro.
I'll tell you what, and they still won the premiership. But this year, like Vossi said, that's not us. But is that us? And what we dished out last week, was it really us? We played above ourselves, and now this is really us. When you put some pressure on us, we collapse. Is that the case?
Well, you've really got to look at it, and it's what we did last week. We set a standard. We set a standard last week, and that's the standard you've got to aspire to, and you've got to do that consistently. You can't just have one-offs and all of a sudden, you're going to chase, you're going to tackle, you're going to be in the face of the opponent as he's as they're coming, when they get the ball, you've got to be at them all the time. And you look at the good teams, they do it week in, week out. You've got to be able to do it week in, week out. You just got to do the little stuff. It's not, the marks and the goals and the kicks and handballs and everything. It's going to take care of himself, but it's the other stuff. It's the other pressure you're putting onto the opposition that really is. It's part of the game now. It's a major part of the game, and the teams that can do that consistently and do it well win games of football, and that's why you watched the Geelong Collingwood game the other night, and it was a terrific game of football. And they both went hard at each other, and
till the last minute. Until the last second, they went at each other until the last second. This is Collingwood and Geelong. It was like you didn't know the result until the last second of the game.
Last kick. Exactly. Went right down to the last kick, and both teams, didn't give up at all. They went hard at each other. That it was a brutal match, and they'll walk off pretty sore from that. And I don't think our boys will walk off very sore at all from our match.
No. It was very, very disappointing. As I said, I was shocked. If I thought of course I picked us to win, but if we had lost by a few goals, by 4 goals, and we're in the game for most of the game, I would have said, fair enough, Adelaide over there, they're a 4-goal better side. That's it. But we really look like a bottom 4 side, and that's what worries me. You can't go from beating Geelong, maybe grand final contenders, to looking like a bottom 4 side. Because even when Geelong have lost, I mean, they haven't looked like they were a bottom 4 side, and we looked bad yesterday, really bad. Yeah.
And you can't let your best footy be so far apart from your bottom. I mean, it's got to be close together. I mean, your best is there and your worst is there. Yeah. You can't be miles apart. So. And at this stage, we're miles apart. Our best footy's pretty good, and our worst footy's bloody terrible. So, you got to have a happy medium with that, and you've got to be more consistent in the way you just come out. And I think a lot of it's just the pressure that when we apply the pressure to the opposition, and we're not bad. We're not a bad team. We're going to win a lot more games, and we'll lose. But when that's not happening, we're a pretty ordinary football team.
So what is that? Or how can you apply so much pressure? Because that should be a non-negotiable, correct? You should go in and it. Why is that?
As you said, I've played in games. I've walked out. I've walked onto the football ground. Yeah. And thought, geez, we're going to have the best day today. Our warm-up was fantastic. Blokes are up and going. And we've been hit right between the eyes, by a team. And all of a sudden you're chasing tails, and and things just don't go the way you think. And other teams, other times you think, we're flat as a tack today. Come on, boys, we're not right. And we'll go out and smash it. So, you just don't know, but it's what happens when that ball's bounced for that first, the siren blows, the ball's bounced. That's when it happens. It doesn't happen in the rooms, doesn't happen anywhere else. It's when that ball's bounced, and what happens straight away, and it becomes infectious when the players are going hard at it and hitting it hard. And unfortunately, that was Adelaide last night, and they'd come. Their skills were bloody terrific too. I thought their foot skills were fantastic. Really just.
And their marking, their marking was just one grab marks down the line in the 50. It was actually quite impressive the way they were marking that ball. It was really impressive, But
they're moving the ball quick. They're moving the ball quick, and that was giving them 1-on-1s, which is as forwards and as players, that's all you want. You want 1-on-1. You don't want 1-on-2, and you don't want the opposition to be allowed to come back. But they moved the ball very quick, and they had a day out. I mean, Isaac Rankin was fantastic. Yeah, their skipper Dawson was just unbelievable.
Dawson, where did he come out? He became Bontempelli last night. Like he was. Well, he was all of a sudden everywhere, but that's what a good captain
He's a
does.
very good footballer. He is a very good footballer. Yeah.
Sydney.
He was
You know, was that Sydney?
when Sydney lost him, they were absolutely spewing. They really rated him very, very high. And he you can see he can go forward and take marks. He's a good contested mark as well. So yeah, they were and O'Brien, O'Brien as well. Seba's put in there. It's he was fantastic too. He was doing a lot of the stuff that TDK does. He's following up and chasing the ball and which is what we're used to Tom de Koning doing for us. So yeah, it just didn't happen for us.
Can I ask Dave?
Go ahead. All right. I was just going to say, you said that those days happened. When you see that performance from Carlton, right, and then you saw what we achieved against Geelong and then what we've done for the rest of the year, are you worried or are you saying, okay, that's a one-off? Let's say you're in the Carlton coaching. Do you look at that and go, right, is that a one-off? Or are you saying, oh, there's worrying signs?
Yeah, no, there's worrying signs there. Yeah. There's definitely worrying signs, and you've got to be able to pull it together out on the field. You need your leaders to really just pull it together and be able to stop that. You've got to. Geez, back in our day, you'd start a blue. Actually, you'd start a fight or something, you slow the game down or whatever. And you have to do something to just not allow the opposition to get their head of steam, and you've got to stop it somehow. And someone's coaching tactics it can be, but most of it's from your leaders out there. They've just got to You look at blokes like Dangerfield when the chips are down and everything, and something's got to be done. He goes and does it himself, and that's what good leaders do. They take it on themselves and just say, "Bugger this! I've got to turn this. I've got to turn this around. This is not right, or I've got to win this game for my club." We've seen Cripper do it time and time again over the time. So.
And he did try. He gave it his all.
Yeah, he did. He did, but he's still not. He's still not at his brilliant best, is he? No. When you see him just brushing, it was like he had a Superman cape last year. He just brushed him aside and had a bit more pace too. He just seemed to be able to get away from his opponents, but they're right onto him at the moment.
I had a question.
Sorry. Yeah, go for it.
I was going to ask David, because I'm looking at the comments also, a lot of the players that, if you were in the coaching seat, and who do you think is on, the chopping line? I mean, for some changes. I mean, obviously there's a lot of comments about Motlop, but I would also say maybe Akers. I don't think he's had a great season.
No.
Is there anything else that you see because I watched the reserves today. It was on live. I was telling Rocco.
Yep.
And I didn't see much there. I think Boyd was okay. Binns was okay. But, there wasn't really much to sort of I don't think Pitnet was that great, to be honest. So I don't know where the changes will be. It's like it's Jekyll and Hyde with the team. One day they're great. Another – I don't understand. But they should make changes, shouldn't they? Doherty – those sort of things. I mean,
the problem we've had for a number of years now is the depth in our list, and it just hasn't been there. I mean, you need the players, as you say, there wasn't much there. Well, you need players playing well in the reserves, forcing their way up. We've had a rotation over the last few years of the same players coming in and out of the team, and same blokes week in, week out. It's good to see Will White and these blokes, Matt Carroll and that getting a game this year. But sometimes even they need it. They might need to go back, have a week or two back in the reserves, just to get their confidence up as well. Because if they're not getting much of the ball, then it can be flattening and deflating for them too, which it doesn't help anyone. So sometimes it's an opportunity. If we ever got players coming back through, to give those blokes another week back in the twos, just so they can get out there and little bit easier grade and find the ball a bit more, get a bit of confidence, and then come back into the team. But we just haven't had the pressure on from below onto the senior players. You know, I mean, Motlop gets a game, you know, regularly, as we say, and doesn't do near enough, you know, nowhere near enough. And he, you know, he was disappointing yesterday and a lot of broken tackles and just not.
Did you see that chase where he was going into the goals? It was like the Adelaide player was like about 5 meters behind him and he caught up to him.
Yep.
I was just like, he must be really slow. I thought.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, you don't see many white blokes in 100-meter sprint, do you, at the Olympics? And you know, but he's a slow one. He's got the ability, and he looks good, you know, when he's around the ball, but he hasn't got that pace. He hasn't got that pace to get away. So he's got no tricks about him, really. And that's what lets him down time and time again. I've said it consistently that you need that burst of pace. Imagine Eddie Betts in that situation. You know, he wouldn't have been caught. Isaac Rankin, you know, Charlie Cameron, any of those boys. You know, he had about 3 or 4 yards on his opponent, who was a big bloke chasing him, and he caught him. You know, and that's just that's bread and butter stuff for small forwards.
But didn't you say, I think you said a few shows back that Motlop was never that small, pacey. Wasn't he more of a lead-up kind of like?
Yeah, well, I was actually told, you know, as a player, you know, coming through. But then why do you take him? You know, why do you pick him? He's not going to be leading up, you know, if he is a lead-up type forward, he's not going to be doing that in you know, in the big stuff. So what do you think? He's going to be able to magically turn around and become a different type of player, which you can get trained into you. I'm not saying that can't happen, but you need some tricks about you, you know, especially you really need some, and with that is pace or not even pace, but if you're hitting packs like Adrian Gleeson, he was, you know, I mean, he used to hit curve and the ball would spill, and he never broke stride. You know, run in and kick goal sort of thing. And he'd hit the pack, grab the ball and keep going. Now, you can't stop that. You know, it doesn't matter how quick you are. Sorry, one of my daughters calling me. Get that off there. And, you can't, you know, because the bloke's going at pace and hitting on you know, hitting that front of the pack and just keep going. So he needs to learn that. But do they teach him?
4 years, and you think like 4 years, and he still hasn't learned the art of. And whose fault's that then? Is it on him? Is it on the coaching? Is it the forward coach? Like who's that on? Like we keep talking about. Sorry.
It's all of that, and do they train? You know, do they train that type of stuff? Do they train to get those young blokes to be, you know, getting front and square and hitting the front?
Yes.
I don't know. Every other team seem to, you know, have those types of players who can, you know, just bob up. I mean, Higgins this week against St Kilda, he's one of those players. You know, he's one of that type of player. He's dangerous. You know, Motlop's not dangerous. No. You know, Motlop's not dangerous at all. So,
well, apart from Durden in the last few weeks, which I've been impressed, you know, and even yesterday, I mean, he wasn't. I think he'd end up kicking 1 or 2 goals, but he wasn't much. But at least he's been hitting packs and doing that. Apart from him, Will White's still young. He looks like he's got a bit of zip about him, but really, out with small forwards, we've been saying it for ages, man. They're just not there, man. We just can't get them. You know, we just can't get the good ones out there. And then we get rid of Owies. If we're saying Motlop was more of a kind of like half leading up, and then we get rid of him, maybe that was their idea to put in.
Well, I believe they're all much of a much. You know, there's not much between Durden and Owies. I mean, I wasn't all that disappointed Owies left. I thought we had too much of the same down there. You need something different. So, you know, and it gives an opportunity for a Will White or someone to come into that, you know, role and sort of learn it and hopefully get better, because while we got these blokes, Charlie and Harry there, you know, that's our opportunity to, to really dominate and win our next premiership. But we need the players around them as well. We need, we need danger everywhere. We need danger people all around the ground. And if you just got Charlie and Harry and they're the dangers, then you don't have to worry. I mean, players will let Motlop and these blokes, they'll let them out 10 yards away from him to be able to get across and help their mate with Charlie and Harry and that. And you'll see that quite often. So I don't know. I thought the week before, I thought we lowered our eyes a lot better and we delivered the ball a lot better into our forward line. So, there were some promising signs there, but we went back. And when we're under pressure, and we were under real pressure last night. So, once again, I'm going to give full credit to Adelaide. They come to play last night. That was an important game for them, and they knew it. And they were in front of their home crowd. Great record against us, so they would have gone in with a lot of confidence, and they showed that, and they were just too good. So we're going to get better at winning away. Going across there and saying, well, shit, this mob, we haven't beaten them over, on Adelaide Oval yet. So we need to put a stake in the ground and say, well, tonight's the night, today's the day. That's it. We're going to do it.
The line in the sand, eh? That line in the sand. The day you say that's enough, And then, do you think also, like, when you see someone like Doherty come back into the side, right, after one good performance in the thing, sometimes that worried me. As soon as I saw it, that worried me. But does that say two things? First of all, where's the depth, like what we talked about? There was no one else to come in. And second of all, is the coaching panel, is Carlton strong enough to turn around and go, right, enough's enough. We love you. We'll give you a role in the VFL or whatever, like, instead of, like, I said it to you before, I think it's almost a disservice they're playing Doherty, week in, week out, because he won't give up. He just won't give up, but he just seems to have lost that edge now, that little bit of pace, that what he had.
Oh, look, I think trying to play him through that midfield is a mistake. I think, it's just, if they are going to play him and they want to play him, then it's time for him to go back into defence where he's an All-Australian probably 4 or 5 years ago. Before he did his knees and that, but put him back there. Put him back there. He'd be a bit of a leader back there. He'd be a bit of a general, and he knows, and plus he can see what's happening up in front as well. You don't have to make the play, and as a midfielder, you've got to make the play, and he's probably not his body or his age or whatever it is. He's just not able to produce through there. If he's not playing, come from behind. So I think if they're going to play him back. Otherwise, say to him, look, we've got a role for you. Go back. Our development is not happening quick enough with some of these new recruits. I mean, we need someone back there to really get and just put him back there and get him talking to the players and working as a development coach out on the field. That would be what I'd be thinking.
If you were coach, would you drop him this week or would you keep him?
Well, it depends who's available, but I must admit I was very surprised he came into the team at all, to be honest. And when he did, I thought, they're going to put him as the super sub sort of thing coming on.
Yeah.
I think Cowan would have been a much better option out there, but
that's true.
Yeah, that's, you live and die by your mistakes. And I think they made a mistake by bringing him back into the team and trying to,
I have a point. I heard this discussion. We were talking with a bunch of friends of ours, and we were saying that, have you ever noticed that when Carlton is the hunted, we crumble, but yet when we're hunting, so for example, when it gets to our head a little bit, well, that's what it shows. In, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we won 3 games in a row, and then we're hunted, we crumble, and then when we're hunting, we're better. Would you?
back to the wall kind of stuff.
I'll talk about that currently, but Carlton back when I was playing was always the hunted, and we're always hunted, and we had to learn to live with that and to beat that. So, and the way you beat it's by effort. You produce a bigger effort than the bloke beside you, and the bloke in the jumper opposite you. So, it's all effort that really determines all that, and you got to have a bit of steel about you making your tackles and making your spoils solid and the little things. You just do everything better than the opposition do it, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to win games if you do that.
Is that leadership? Is that, again, I was talking to Rash before, and sometimes it feels like it's mentally with us, you know what I mean? Because when you do it like last week, that says that you can do it, right? But to continuously do something, that's your mental strength. And a few weeks ago, or 3 or 4 weeks ago, Wiedering come out and said, oh, we're mentally weak. He had an interview and said, like sometimes we can be mentally weak. And I think sometimes people blurt out something that's been on their mind. It's the truth, you know what I mean? And that's what worries me about Carlton is at times they are mentally weak because everyone can do it for 1 quarter or 1 game, but it's to do it over and over and over again. And you know how it is, Reese, like when you don't want to do it, that's when you need to get up and do that extra effort, and sometimes to me, it seems like some of the players just give up and say, you know what, it's not my day today, and leave it to someone else.
Rock, can I just say?
Well, put it this way: it's not everyone's day every week. Individually, but as a team, you can't go off as a team. You might have a player down on form or whatever, carrying a little injury, whatever, niggle, or not quite right, but. You don't have 6 or 7, down, right down, and not contributing. Robert Walls used to say, just do something, while you're out there. But Beamer, remember, do something. Don't walk off the ground and say, oh, that was just a bad day, and you've done nothing. Do something while you're out there. So, that's. And it sticks with you because you think, Jesus Christ, I'm not getting the ball, and you have these days. You're not getting the ball, but put a tackle on, put a smother on, do a spoil, or you can do something, and you can inspire your teammates by doing these sort of things.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing about the mental stuff? And we're going to have a special guest that's going to come up in a moment. It takes really good mental habits. So this is the reason why you don't consistently. I'm talking as a mental coach here. That you've got to consistently work on your habits, just like you build your body. You need to build your brain. So, and that comes from leadership and the guidance on that. So yeah. Anyway, should we put this gentleman in?
Well, yeah, he's all the way from the other side of the world. So let's have a look at him. Here he is.
Hey.
Hang on, let me do this one.
Where are you, Joe?
Hello. Where are we? Hang on, I'm just at a really crowded train station.
It's a nice one.
In Paris. So just waiting for a train to go to Geneva.
Nice.
Where's Vince?
He wasn't feeling well. He come down, like he rang me an hour ago and said, something. He doesn't feel. He was feeling really, really terrible. So, Vince.
After watching this,
after the Libs got beaten, Carlton got beat. He's distraught.
He's hopeless. So another good victory
to Adelaide. Adelaide, yeah.
David, what? I haven't been watching. I've been in the cab. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was terrible again, Joe. Yeah, back to square one, unfortunately.
Rash, is it mental? How can you play good one week and terrible the next?
I reckon personally, and I don't know from privy to what's happening at the club. I reckon it's a combination of coaching and mental. So it's. I noticed something yesterday while I was watching the game. They just kept on going to the outside. I was watching it, and they've done the same way. They beat us every time, same way. And I can't believe the boss hasn't mitigated that. I don't get it.
Do you mean going along the wing, or what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
like they would get it out, they wouldn't contest it, and they'd just shoot it across towards the wing. And then they're just
because to me, when we're playing bad, or when we're not confident enough with the game plan, and we're not moving it quick enough, we haven't got like 3 or 4 players running forward, and we don't switch the ball, you can see we take like a second, we step back, all of a sudden, you know, like Adelaide, you stream back, they cover the line, and then we got no choice but to kick it down the line, you know, and that's all we do. And that's what we do. As soon as we're under pressure, to me, if we revert back to that easy out. They don't take the ball. They don't take them on in the middle. They don't hit that target in the middle. There was 3 or 4 times, or maybe more, I saw like a player actually running past, and they didn't shoot off the handball. Like they would have been out, but they just weren't confident enough to shoot it. So to me, that as soon as there's under pressure, they just revert back to that game plan of running down the wing and kicking it long, and hopefully Mackay or, you know, like Kerno can mark the ball.
Let them fix it. Yeah, like that. That's what I see.
When
you watch a game like Collingwood and Geelong, oh my God, those two teams, they played out of their skins. That was such an impressive game.
I think Collingwood and Geelong almost play that to lose. Like they'll play either I'm going to win this game or we're going to lose it, and they don't care. You know, they're always playing to win.
That's it. You've got to play to win.
We're always playing to lose.
Well, it's not so much playing. It's not so much playing to lose. It's playing to save you. You know. You get back. You get in that way of just thinking, "Oh God, we just got to mitigate the problems and try and save our ass and not get beat by as much." Rather than thinking, "Shit, we're going to put some score on the board here. We're going to win this game." You know, and how are we going to do it? We can't keep doing the same thing. Otherwise, you know, it's going to.
Reese, can you play? Do you, when you get in that state, can you play for yourself, like, and just worry about your own game, and just worry about not being the person who makes the mistake? You know, can you be that person?
Well, have a look at what Dangerfield does. He doesn't care. You know, he takes it on, and you got to take it on. And you might make a mistake, but at least make a mistake having a go. You know, don't worry, but have a go, and you might make a mistake, but bad luck. At least we can say, well, Jesus Christ, did you see what Paddy Cripps done in that last quarter? He really wanted to get us into, in the third quarter when they were coming at us. Did you see what TDK and Charlie did? And they really tried to lift us, and we just didn't have any of that.
Yeah. It's contagious,
it doesn't just have to be them either. I mean, there's a lot of other players out there. And it's a matter of standing up when it's your turn to go. It's your turn to go, whether it's going back with the fly to the ball or you've got to put that tackle on, or you've got to, brace yourself because, they're coming at you sort of thing, whatever. But it's your turn to go, you've got to go.
And sometimes it's the lesser players, like, for example, like maybe a Carroll or a White who does something that can lift the team. Because if someone like that can like maybe a smother or a chase down tackle, that can lift everyone,
Yeah, no, exactly. As Rash said
sorry, you
before,
guys are cutting out.
No, sorry, Joe. I was just going to say that sometimes those blokes say that don't just think it can't be me. When it's your turn, you see it. You just got to go. You just got to make it yours. Sorry, Joe. You were saying something.
I was going to say. I was reading the papers this morning, and did I read right? Michael Voss says we're going to have a hard look at ourselves.
I think
and then he said, he also said, I knew there was something up after the first 10 minutes. I mean, are you serious?
I didn't read that.
They've had the same problems all year. Have a look through. He said, have a look at his presser. He says something about, I knew we were in trouble after the first 10 minutes. And then he goes, we need to really have a hard look at ourselves. Well, it's taken him till it's taken him till round 8 to work it out. No, well, what about the first 4 weeks? But what about the first 4 weeks, Rocco? Yesterday we played basically the same.
No, I understand that, but he's not wrong.
No, I know he's not wrong.
You could see that we weren't on for some reason. My question is, rightio, let's start a second. What can you do? You know what I mean? And as far as having a good look having a good hard look at yourself, he's not wrong again. You know, like what's going on here, man?
No, well, what has to happen? He has to get him in there and explain that to him too, and say, look, 10 minutes in, I knew we're in trouble, and out there, what happened? No one stood up. Yeah. No one, took the game
control or leadership.
Tried to wrestle the game back from, and it doesn't take 1, 2. It takes the whole team to turn it around, but. You need your leaders out there to really start turn the game around, put it back on your terms, and that's what you see with the good teams. They'll get 3 or 4 goals kicked on them at times, in a row, and next minute they'll, as Collingwood did the other night. Geelong got that 17 points, whatever it was, up, and all of a sudden, was it 3 minutes to go? They didn't care. They wanted to win the game. But this isn't a common occurrence. We've always got 1 or 2 people that just stand up, and the rest of them wait around and hope to come along for the ride. And it's been going on for years. I think 100% right there. I think we've got too many players who are not mentally tough enough when the things are going bad to be able to turn things around, and I think that is a major problem. And we just have it. We've got guys that not tough enough to tough it out.
Better give them all a participation medal. Anyway, guys, I got to get going. Good to see you, and I'll catch up with you next week. I'll give you a call later, right?
Enjoy.
Hey?
Enjoy, Harry.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, Joe. Rock, should we get to the vote? Do you think you want to get to the votes yet?
We'll get to the votes. I was just about to say, there's not much more you can say about that game. I don't even know what the review would be like. You would have to look at that review as the coach. What do you do with that? Do you go over every quarter? Do you start picking out plays where is that what you do? Is that what they do, Reese, or do you have to do that?
Yep. Yeah, you do because you can see it. I mean, you've got vision of it. You've got to show the players, and you've got to say, look, when this have a look at them. Have a look at how they're hunting in packs, and have a look at how they're tackling us and putting the pressure on us. And we didn't react. You've got to react. You've got to wrestle that back, and sometimes it's just through basic effort. It's just hard. Yakka sort of thing. You just got to put your nose down and say, rightio, for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to out-tackle them. We are going to out-tackle this mob. We're going to out-tackle them and put the pressure back onto them, and it'll turn, and next minute you're putting a bit of score on the board, then things happen, and you just keep going like that.
Yeah, and look, and Jeffrey here says stop membership payments and watch what happens. You know what? I've heard that before, and I'm listening to the great Lee from Arsenal. He does a podcast, and he says that actually that doesn't do anything because you don't go to games and that all you do is you're hurting the team and that you're not doing anything. The way you've got to do it is probably what we're doing is get on here and voice your opinion and that's the best way to do it, I think. I mean, stopping it. No one's going to stop their memberships. I mean, if you being a member, if you stop your membership, guess what, Reese? You lose your seat. That's what happened. So they've got you by the balls. You can't stop your membership, or I lose my seat and I don't get it back.
Yep. And and look, things can turn pretty quick too. Things can turn, and confidence is a massive factor in football. As I said, look, I'll give full credit to the way Adelaide come out and played that game because they were hot and they were at us. So I'll give them credit, but it's our turn to bounce back this week, and that's where you look to your team and say, well, geez, perform very poorly, how are they going to react? And that's where you look at the coaches and you look at the players and you go, well, how are they all going to react? I mean, that's the next thing you really look at, and that's against St Kilda this week, and we need to come out and just go hard at them, really hard. We need to attack them. I want to see the smallest blokes, a Willie White. I want to see him tackling their ruckman. You want to see effort, and so this is a mighty important match for us, and this will be it'll be a bit of a line in the sand for this year game. Our season is on the line this week, and we get beat by St Kilda. That's the end of our hopes, I think.
100%. We got to, and a great friend of the Jumper Punch in Ange, the Wolf Christo, he once said to us, he goes, when they were playing 95 and other years too, they would take it in 4-week blocks, and they would look at the first 4 weeks and go, right, we need to win 3 out of 4. They would look at it. 2 is a pass, 1's no good. And the first 4 weeks are out of the way. Next 4 weeks, we won 3 out of 4, even though it was a bad loss against Adelaide. Right, next 4 weeks, let's see what we can do, and let's get our season back on track. And I suppose that's the way you've got to look at it, don't you, in reality? Or else your year's gone if you don't look at it like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, put it this way, you're going to have bad games. And as I said, every single team, in the history of footies, we've had our bad games, and but it's how you react to it. And I think that's the most important thing. And
100%.
If you got pride in your club, pride in your own ability, and pride in your teammates, then you'll pull it out. And that's what they need to do this week.
Yeah. Chef Jack says every game is a line in the sand. And I don't know. Well, now it is. It is from now on. It's going to be for the rest of the year, every line. We shouldn't have a line in the sand game. Like, in reality, in a real world, we shouldn't have line in the sand. Every game you should go in there and you should never be playing for someone who died, or it shouldn't be a special occasion. But it's not. That's not reality, is it, Reece?
No, look, I agree. I agree with you. But sometimes there becomes a point in the season where you think, this is it. This is the one. We have to win, and we don't win this week, we're out of it. And and you got to put everything on the line. That is 100% effort from every single player, from the time that ball gets bounced, the first bounce, till the final siren, and you just got to go as hard as you can and play to your maximum ability. But and you just got to remember, so you can have those line in the sand type games, because I got no doubt it's this week. It is this week against St Kilda, who had a good win on the weekend, and we need to take it up to them. And that first bounce, every single player who's out there has got to be switched on and willing to put their life on the line for their club.
And they're a bit of our bogey side, because they always seem to get us, even when they're at the bottom of they did it again last year, in that last game when they were winning, they always do it. So it's time to take charge next week. Look, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be yelling my guts out, because I'm done, man. I'm going to get this team over the line if I can, and I'm sure everyone's going to be there.
Can I just say just one thing as we wrap up on the Adelaide game, and we'll get to the votes? And maybe for you, David, I mean, 2 things that I noticed. I mean, there's small things of the game from last week from the other night was Sam Walsh had this run-in with a player I've never even seen. And he bumped into him. No remonstration. No other players came in. And then the issue with Saad and Tex, right? I'm sure Tex was probably giving him a bit of some racial, maybe, who knows what he was saying to him. But Saad's usually pretty calm. And for him to get under his skin, and then I was just looking for the other players, like, why aren't they just coming in? And you could be losing, but these are the non-negotiable. That to me is obvious. They're not connected. They're not. Well, they'll say they're like brothers, but they're not. They're not. I don't know what.
No, I think you're right there. I wouldn't say Tex would have said anything racially, because that would have been in the paper today, and everything gets hurt out there at the moment. So, and to be perfectly honest, Sard would have said something if that had have happened. I'm sure, but no, look, there's certain things set out in the footy field you can get away with, and certain things you can't. But so it's sticks and stones things. People are going backwards and forwards that way. But as you say, we don't see, and I was saying this early in the season, we just don't have tough guys. We don't have a Maynard like Maynard for Collingwood. We don't have a bloke like that. We don't have blokes who come in and stick up for each other. I mean, we don't have any hard nuts in there, and we have blokes who go hard at the ball and whatever. But Chera I actually said I'd love to see one of our players get reported.
Yeah.
Chera got reported last week. It was an accident. He got reported.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I just quickly, before we go to the mates, when you played, Reece, you would have you couldn't wait for someone to do something so you could go up to tell us the truth. I mean, that was your DNA, wasn't it? You couldn't wait for someone to. I dare you to say something today. Yeah?
Well, yeah. Well, I like flying the flag for me mates and getting in there and as you say, I didn't mind that sort of thing on the footy field and get in and.
It's flying the flag for your mates, mate. Like
exactly.
That's almost the bigger part of the game than the game, like if your mate's in trouble, mate, like, hey, you don't go near him, like, I'm going to be here. Make them think about it before you go next to him again,
Yeah, look, even when I coached and played down in Tassie and, I'd tell the blokes there, I'd tell them not to come in and fly the flag for me. I said, look, I'll be over there wrestling with 3 or 4 blokes. We'll have 2 or 3 extras out on the ground while I'm wrestling these blokes. So I said, I'll handle the wrestling, the fighting over here, and you blokes get down and kick the goals. So
I'm going to do that for the team. I'm going to take 3 down while you kick a goal. I love it.
Can I just say, maybe we are a nice team, because I've been seeing comments, we are a nice team, and we don't really have anyone that's got mongrel. The last one's probably Mitch Robertson or something like that, like real mongrel, like it'll go out there tough. I can't think of someone. I mean, Cripps is tough. Don't get me wrong; he's very tough. But I love Paddy Cripps when he does get angry. When Paddy Cripps gets angry, he is an absolute beast. And look out, because the few times I have seen him get angry, he's just been a bull at a gate, and you wouldn't want to be in his road, sort of thing. So I'd love him to get angry before he runs out in the ground and give him a whack on the head as he's running out, sort of thing. And, I remember James Manson, who played for Collingwood, the Collingwood boys used to get into him before he's getting out and get over the head and that, because he'd come out like a a quiet little, but if they got him revved up, that's what they wanted. Newman is our mongrel. That's coming like
someone. He was a bit of a mongrel.
Newman used to. He was very lippy, out there, and one of those blokes who just do that little needling and things all the time. So he was. I like the way Newman went about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, gents, let's get to the votes.
Yep, we'll get to the votes.
All right, so let me put this up now. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll read the other one. Before you get to yours, I'll just get rid of Big Vin Gents. He had Cripper and Wiedering. I had the same as you. And Bangkok had Cripps, Haynes, and Holland. Yep, all of them. What about you, David?
Look, I went Paddy Cripps. I thought he was our best player. I don't think it was one of his outstanding games that we used to, but he tried hard and led by example, I suppose, but weren't enough of him. Jacob Wiedering, I thought he was really good back there. I thought he stood up, I just wonder, how many goals we'd get beaten by if Jacob Wiedering wasn't playing in our team. And I think he's playing with a little bit of an injury at the moment as well. I think his knee's not 100%. Nick Haynes, I've given the 1 vote to. I nearly snuck him in the votes last week, and I didn't. And I was fumbling around, and I couldn't really pick a third one there. But I thought, well, yeah, he went okay. So he gets the one vote for having a very good game last week and not getting votes, and backing it up with an okay game yesterday. So, yeah, very hard to fill that third spot.
I agree. Yeah, no, definitely there. Ollie, both Holland boys give it their all. I mean, Ollie Hollands he hasn't got that mongrel where he fights, but what he has got is that determination to never give up. Like Ollie, I love Ollie Hollands, and he's built like a rag doll, but mate, the bloke just gives it his all. So I love that kid.
Let me get.
He does. He tries hard and he runs hard, and he's he's the sort of player who you watch him and he's always in the screen sort of thing. He's trying to get the ball and trying to create things. So yeah, he works hard.
Okay, we're going to get to the
leaderboard. Yeah, leaderboard. You got Stewart on 37. He was okay yesterday. I mean, you can't expect him to be best around every game, but he was still good. And yeah, he did nothing. But second, Paddy Cribs, Walsh. I thought Walsh was okay yesterday. He tried hard. You know what I mean? And there's Wiedering, there's our stars. Yeah, there's the leaderboard. And then I think between you guys, what's going on there, Rash? Oh, next one, Spirit of Carlton. Go for it.
Spirit of Carlton Award this week goes to Sam Doherty, and I'm giving him the Spirit of Carlton Award this week for his career, because I think his career is just about done. And he's been a warrior. He's been an inspiration. Hopefully he can come back to the form, but gee, it's not looking like that. And if they do play him, I'd like to see him play on the back line again, but there's some options out there. I mean, our development of our younger players, in the VFL team hasn't been up to scratch. So maybe he could go back there and be an on-field coach for the rest of the season. And we could find a game where we could give him a farewell match and send him out, as we should. But, I think Sam's best days are obviously well away, and I think all the injuries and the illness and everything that's the toll it's taken on his body is just about it now. So if he does play again, good luck to him. But we might have seen the last.
I agree with him, and you know what, and he could be valuable as in the reserves, or as a coach. I think he could be very valuable. He spent time with the coach, in the coach's box when he was injured. He could be very, very valuable. And I said he's like Farlap to me. He'll give it your all until he breaks down, But I think the coaching staff have to now. They've got to make these hard calls. Unfortunately, we all love Doc. We love the sentimental thing. But at the end of the day, let's think of the big picture here, and it's what's good for Carlton,
Well, he's got to be keeping someone out, and I mean, Boyd's been our best players in the the last couple of weeks.
I don't know what's going on with Boyd.
I mean, play the kids who are in for at least. I mean, as I said before, we haven't had many. We haven't had the list that's had good, players playing well enough underneath. But you see Binns in the best players every week, Boyd in the best players the last few weeks. Put them in. We know what we're going to get there. They're up to it, and players need to be dropped. But I was surprised with Doherty actually being selected this week. I thought Binns or Boyd would have one of those two would have definitely been in.
One more question before we move on. Can I just, because everyone's been asking this, just a quick answer by you, right? This question by Joshua asked David Jones, if he was list manager, is he paying TDK nearly 1.2 million a year if you were list manager?
Well, I'm not list manager, thank Christ. But
no.
Look, I think there's been a bit of skullduggery. Obviously, Sauce, St Kilda, they've made the offer. I think it's pie in the sky stuff. So, and I think everyone does really. And I think if he took that offer, it'd shock St Kilda more than it'd shock anyone else, because they've got a very good ruckman who we'll see this week in Rowan Marshall,
That's
who's
right.
he's a nice tough guy too. So I think he'll be wanting to show that he's if TDK does come, that he'll be the number one ruckman and show him why this Friday night. So yeah,
Actually,
it's going to be.
That's a great point. I think that's a contest to watch this week. I think he's definitely going to go after TDK this week. That's actually a great point. I like that.
Oh yeah, he will. He won't like the headlines and another ruckman coming over and it doesn't work either. The two ruckman sort of situation.
And I think my opinion, which doesn't count for anything, I think he's going to stay TDK, and I don't care what anyone says. I think once our team is up and running, he could be the X factor that gets us over the line, when we do it, because he is special when he does his things. Not many ruckmen can do what TDK does, and you see what Gawn does for Melbourne, and he did it again this week. He got like 100 possessions, and he the bloke is a star. So to me, TDK stays at the end of the year, and he's the difference for us going, into the future.
Since we're talking about St Kilda, let's talk about the tips. Let's talk about the
tips. Oh, look, as I said, we can call this game whatever we want to, but I think we're going to win it. I think we'll win, and we'll win pretty well. I'm not a huge fan of St Kilda's. I'm not a huge fan of St Kilda's, to be honest, but I think we'll have a 5 or 6 goal win, 35 points. I've said there, so. Yeah, I think we'll have a comfortable win, and hopefully we will see the type of football that we need to see. And this is what are we up to? Round 9 is the most important game of the whole season. This one is our season on the line, as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. You pump me up, Reece. I'm going to go in there, mate. We got to win this game, mate. We got to win a big time.
And we need our fans to get there, exactly. Get there and be positive and cheer for your team too. I mean, don't throw your membership in the bin.
It's at the G. It's not at Marvel where we usually play.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another reason I think we'll win it pretty easy. St Kilda are a terrific team at Marvel for some unknown reason. I think they're like the downhill skiers sort of thing. They get on that fast track, and I'd like to see some weather too. I'd like to see some rain and make it a bit shitty too, because I don't think that'll suit them either. And and the mood we need to be in, I think we can really, we do play the MCG better than
we do. And what should the crowd be, Reece, this week? Come on, how many should we get there? Come on, we're Carlton supporters. Should have.
If you've got a Carlton membership, get along and support, because this is, as I said, this is the most important game of our season so far. So if you haven't been to a game, or even if you have been to a game, get along to this one. This one is important, and we need to get there, and we need to roar and just lift our team. And I'll tell you, you really can feel it out there when the. When you're out on the field and the crowd are roaring and they're chanting, whether they're chanting for us or players or whatever, you can feel that support. So get there and do your best for the team. And I'll be there, and I'll be yelling and screaming as hard as anyone.
I love it. And it's good to. I'm glad you said that as a player, it can lift you, it can be that 19th man on the ground, where I don't believe in, all this mysterious stuff and that, but I believe energy from everyone put together can actually give you a lift. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. And we got the best supporters. We got the the loudest and best supporters. So get along and cheer them on, because if that's what we need to get them over the line, and that can be that little 0.1% thing we need, then that'll be fantastic. Get along. It'll be a great game. It's a St Kilda home game. St Kilda home game. So that's a real.
Let's outvoice them. Let's out.
Yeah. Get there. Get along.
Let's
Yeah.
get them out there and send them back to bloody St Kilda with
Rabbit.
Northside. They can all go back
Hey,
home.
Rocco, let's just put the tipping ladder before we let David go.
Yep. Oh yeah,
so
you're all on 5 now, and so and it
Hey,
won't change this week.
how did Vince get on 5?
I don't know. Who did you pick last week?
Well, I thought it was the
It
week
could be,
before.
it could be a mistake.
Anyway.
from
I'll have to go
No.
back over a few shows and just check that. I think.
Yeah,
that
you got to watch mate. You got to watch him.
Yeah, I know. All right, then.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Reese. You're a star, man. Go
Yeah.
Blues, and we'll see you
Go
next
the Mighty
week.
Blues. Get down there this
Go the
week,
Blues.
and let's beat the Saints. Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
mate.
Thanks.
See you, mate. Beautiful. What a star.
That was good, right?
Mate, yeah. I'm telling you now, everyone is privileged to get on a Sunday and listen to David Reese Jones. I'm telling you, man, like the bloke he's done it all. He's played, he's, premiership, Northside, he's coached, he's played in a country league, he's done it all, man. He's just a great man. And during all, man, he's worked all his life, he's one of us, and to get his insight, even that last bit where he said about, the crowd, can lift a player and that's like, I believe it, but to hear it from Reese, like far out, and that's why sometimes the filth, when they do their chant,
Yeah.
I mean? As much as we hate it, like, and if any of the cheer squad is out there, right? If they can, or some of the cheer squad, you've heard my thoughts on the cheer squad. I think sometimes they're a little bit down, mate. You just like the players out there have to lead the way, and the leaders, man. You're the leader of the cheer squad. Is the leader of the crowd, mate. Mate, make sure what we're doing here. Let's make sure that we can really get this crowd going, mate. Think of some new chants, mate. Let's intimidate the people. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Sometimes I think that the cheer squad, and you can clip this up, I don't care, are a little bit soft, just like our players. Maybe it's a representative of each other. You know what I mean? Like maybe the players are soft and they're acting soft. I don't know what it is, but come on, mate. I'm telling you, mate, we're Carlton. Fuck the rest, mate. You know what I mean? That's what I think. I just want to say hi before we continue to little Liam. He says hi. Liam, we met him at yesterday. He's a little tacker, man. He's a great Carlton supporter. He's a star. He comes on to Forever Rivals. He's going to be a future star, man. So how are you, Liam? And all his family. Sorry, I forgot all your brother and your sister's name, but I met them all, and they're absolute stars. So thanks, Liam, for joining us.
Well, can I tell you, this has been an awesome episode. There's been so much comments. I'm sorry, we've been trying to manage it sort of with the standing guys for Vince and Joe, but it's been a great episode. So what's your
we won't go through all the other games and that. Like, there's winners, there's losers. We're 13th or 14th on the ladder. That's all I care. It's all about Carlton. It's all about next week. Just make sure you catch all the shows this week. The Jumper Punch. Do all that. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks to the Sporting Globe. Make sure you catch Tuesday. Paolo has guaranteed me he's on this week. There is no SEN work this week, so he's coming on. He's going to be bringing out his review either tonight or tomorrow. And he wrote me a message and he said, review will be out later. And he goes, it's going to be scathing. They were his message to me. So get ready for this review. He's gonna let him have it because.
By the way, I love the review. It's so good. I was telling you the other day. I've watched it. It's bite size. It's small. It gets to the point. Very thorough. It's great.
100%. Hey, Chef Jack. I reckon Chef Jack is he the same bloke that goes on the Monday Blues? I reckon it is, man. Rash, you look familiar. You Lebo?
Yes.
We're all emos and bloody wogs here, mate. That's all we are, man.
But I've been living overseas for a long time, Chef. So just came back a couple of years ago. I was overseas for 17 years.
Hey, well, we love Chef because I another one, man. I know they're on a different channel, but I love Monday Blues.
Oh, me too. Great show.
They're probably the 5th or 6th or 7th best show on the internet outside of the Jumper Punch. No, we love the Monday Blues. I love them, and they're great friends of ours. They're a great show. Never miss theirs. And yeah, I've seen Chef Jack on there. And you know what? One day, Chef, I might have to give you a call. You can jump on to. Hey, why don't you jump on to Forever Rivals on Wednesday, man? Get on there. We put the link out there. I'd love to hear you give it to Manny and the rest, man. So get on there. Make sure you catch that. That's going to be a big episode. Tuesday's going to be a big episode. Friday, everyone get down to the thing. Is there anything else, man? Yeah, Tom, we're working on bringing back to the Burbs. You know, like it's just so busy, but we are working on something.
I'm looking forward to your rant on Tuesday, and I've got an idea what it was because we discussed it. But yeah,
there'll be a bit of a rant. I think I'm going to get back to the Blues and rant a bit about them. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to do it all today and that, but like it's just disappointing by the Blues, man. Like we all love them. I was kind of a little bit not hoodwinked, but I was thinking, all right, I've seen some good things. I expected more from the Blues. That's all I asked. Even if we had lost, I expected more. I didn't expect to see what I saw. And I'll talk like a father. I'm very disappointed in you. If I was a coach, I would just walk in and I would go, I'm just so disappointed and walk out. That's what I would say to him. I mean?
I feel like you wouldn't do it like that. I reckon you if you were the coach, the paint
I'd
on
get
the wall.
stacked, mate. I'd be on the front page the next day because there'll be players crying and they'll be like telling me that, he's been insulting. And one player would probably come out and say he threw something at me. That would be my coaching method,
Can I just say we were talking today about, before we wrap up and stuff, where to go from here? Because if we lose against St Kilda, let's be honest, right? The season's virtually done.
It's
I
done.
reckon I think it's almost done, Rocco. Now I don't even think we'll make the 8.
I agree. If we make the 8, it'll be a great effort from here. Honestly, I'm not going to say this out aloud, but I'll say this between me, you, and the 63 people out there. I don't think we've got it, not right at this moment, to win a premiership. Like it just. I don't think we've got it. We might make the 8, maybe, and then see what happens. But who knows? But at the end of the day,
the way we're playing at the moment, there's no way. Look, let's be real. Our team are the biggest teasers of teasers. They are.
They get me so excited and then let me down.
Hey, there's a comment here by AIR. What's he saying?
That's Alexandra.
I want Rash's resolution tonight to replace Vince's, since the verdict is a very popular
resolution. I like it. Well, give us a resolution then.
So the resolution is what? It's like saying what my prediction is, or what is it exactly?
What we need to do from this point onwards to be a successful side. And it might not even be like the way I read it is, what's your resolution? I mean, is it for this week? It can't be just for this week.
No.
It has to be going forward. What's the resolution? And there's a lot to do, Rash.
There is, but I reckon it all starts. I reckon it starts with the coach, man. I'm not a big fan, to be honest, but and I see the comment here. Cripps's windows is closing. Harry's, Kerno, Wiedering, Sice, they're all. You got to make changes. So unless he makes the changes, and what's obvious to me is, this is my little rant. How's Zach Williams? We go Zach Williams. He plays 3 weeks and he's out. Right? Not consistent, right? McGovern, you're great for 2 weeks, then you're shit. There's so much inconsistencies where they're accepting mediocre, which is bullshit. And that's the reason why you are where you are, because you're accepting mediocre. And I've got a long-term view, and I talked to Ramo about this too. Long-term view, play some kids. set the standards to go higher. Not because, you had an off day and stuff like that. That can happen. Someone like Blake Acres, he hasn't played a good game the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't mind if Elijah plays an average game against Adelaide, but the week before he was good. But if you're keeping Blake Acres on, and because, there's a senior player and he's playing on the wing, and no, we don't want to drop him for his. No, put him Bins. Why is Bins?
Maybe Bins did all right. Maybe I think he did okay on the today. I think someone was saying, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the problem is what David said too. Like far out. What's coming through, mate? Like I know it's easy to say bring in Bins or bring in the camper rallies. Are they ready? Are they ready? Do we make it worse? Like sometimes I feel like he puts in like a Doherty because we got no one else, and that's sad.
But he played Lucas in the first 2 rounds, so he must have been ready. So why is Lucas not ready now? I
don't know. And if he was ready and now he's been 4 or 5 weeks in the reserves and he hasn't gone back to it, what's happened? All of a sudden, you know what I mean? And then why isn't Ben given a go? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I don't know. I heard that Ben and Lucas, they played okay last week. They got a whole bunch of possessions. They were doing all right. And then all of a sudden, Cottrell comes out. Why not play Ben then? You know what I mean? And get him.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, are they scared to play like another youngster? Why? I don't know.
I'm disappointed. I'm sure why it's not such a bigger issue why they're not talking about Boyd. Seriously, Boyd's one of the best kicks he's the best kick. Him and Sada are the best kicks.
I don't know what's happened with him. Like, I don't know. Remember,
he played a good game today. He played a good game today, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you think like they would have brought him in, you know what I mean? But then maybe they were thinking that they're too tall, you know what I mean? We need to bring in Lewis Young. And
yeah, I get that. No, but I said a comment here before that was saying that, you could easily move Ollie Hollands to the wing and then put him as half back, Boyd.
Well, that's where he started. Ollie Hollands is a winger.
I know, but they don't want to stuff around their system because they've got him in as
what system? We're losing. What system?
No, but they've trained him this pre-season as half back.
Yeah, and he's doing okay because he's a little bulldog and he doesn't stop. I understand that, but to me, I don't even know why they moved him. You know what I mean? Because now he'd be perfect on the wing for me. Or bring in the Ben. Or. I don't know. What do I know?
You know what? We've been on for a while, but there's someone that's come up, and I just want to say a big hello to Lana. We seen her yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday at the Sporting Globe, Northland. With her mum, her beautiful mum, and that was great to see her. We should get more people from this chat. Should be going to the next one. So explain to tell them because it's such a great vibe. Even though we played a shit game.
In 2 weeks' time, there'll be the Sydney game, and we've done it now for both interstate games. So everyone that's in there that doesn't know about it or that hasn't come, we do the interstate games. We have got a private. We got the private area for us, and we can all watch the game there, and it's all full of Carlton supporters. So we watch the interstate games. Everyone watches them together, all the Blues.
And the screens are big. They're
we've got
big.
all the screens, all the televisions are on, Carlton, everything. There's drinks. It's it's something that the Jumper Punch has done this year. It's a free event. You don't pay for it.
Get together, halftime, we talk. It's
everyone meets.
And the food
is it at I Shout? Well, it's at the Sporting Globe. Northland, chef, and I expect you to see you there next time, right? Come down there. It's a free event. Sydney. We all watch it together. WA does it. Look, all these blue, like Adelaide does it. I'm sure they do it. They all do it, but we're the first that out of the content creators that have organised something, and it's all part of the Sporting Globe. It's part of our when we came up with the arrangement with the Sporting Globe to partner us, that was part of the deal, and we took it as we wanted. We wanted somewhere where we can meet up 4 or 5 times a year, get together and watch the game together. And again, we had about 50, 60 people there yesterday at one stage. It was full, and it was, look, apart from the loss, it was a great atmosphere. You know what I mean? And
so
was
really good because we were in the game.
Yeah. No, definitely. And again, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it for all the interstate games. We'll catch up. It's a good way for everyone to catch up in the chat and meet up and say hi. And yeah, it was great, man. So yeah, make sure that in 2 weeks' time, we'll put up all the details on Tuesday's show, and that's it. Yeah. So thank you very much. No, go for it, Rash.
No, thank you for getting me in as the stand-in this week. No problem. It's a pleasure. It's the first time I've been, on the airways this year. So
yeah, well, we're going to see more and more, Rash. I think. Look, I don't want to put it out there, but maybe the change room is might be coming back soon enough. So everyone's looking forward to that.
We're cooking something.
They're looking into something. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And as far as of course, you're going to be on the Jumper Punch soon enough, man. We're trying to get as many. I think with the Jumper Punch now, like we're trying to get as many fans, and you're more than a fan, you're part of the show, but we're trying to get more and more fans onto the show and get them to have a chat. You know what I mean? And I'm sure we'll get a few of these blokes who'll come on. I can see in there that I know personally, so they'll be coming on soon enough too. So make sure you catch Tuesday 7:00, Wednesday 7:30. And Friday, I'll see you at the ground. What do you reckon?
Absolutely, mate. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Rock. And what a great experience again. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for coming. Everyone in the chat, thanks again. Use a star. Please press like, share, and subscribe, man. It costs you nothing. But trust me, it does a lot for us. Yeah, all that does a lot for us. Like, share, subscribe. What that does is helps the shows get shared around, gets it more out there, and more people can enjoy this absolute gold that we bring together. Huh?
Absolutely. Thanks,
all right,
Rob.
guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Go the Blues.